let's see. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a presentation. This is going to be a little bit more. We're going to have some slides and stuff tonight. We're trying some different things this month with all these lives, trying a lot of different things actually.
Yeah.
So we're learning a lot, which is good. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And so now what I'm trying to do is get these slides to work so we can do it. And
It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. We are talking tonight about how to have financial peace in the midst of chaos.
yeah, we did this presentation about a week or two ago, and it went really well. It was really well received, and so we're going to do it again because there's a lot of helpful stuff in here, especially for this time. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, as time goes on and we are all not working, well, not all of us, but a lot of us are not working and not receiving an income yet, we can have peace even though it doesn't seem like everything is going well. So we're excited to talk about it.
So anyway, so just bear with us.
Yeah, did we talk about this with Ty and Talit, right?
We did talk about this with
So
Ty and Talit.
they are his and her money, and they're amazing. We got to meet them. Well, we've talked to them a few times online, and we got to meet them in person at a Dave Ramsey event, actually. We all got to meet Dave Ramsey and hear from him, and then we got to hang out with Ty and Talit, which was actually better because, you know,
why?
we were just more peers with them. Yeah, and we got to, like, really talk to them and hang out there, so they're awesome.
Yeah, they really are.
We like them a lot. So anyway, I hope you are doing well tonight. Are you ready?
I think we're ready.
All right.
So yeah, we are going to be talking about how to have financial peace in the chaos. And so let me go ahead and share this little slide here. Zoom back out. We'll go in just a little bit. Chop off some of that browser window just to make things nice and convenient.
Right.
So anyway, we're going to be talking about how to have financial peace in the chaos because, this is just the world that we're in right now and what we're going through. And so we have some really practical tips here, and then we also have some spiritual kind of principles and maybe spiritual disciplines and things that we should be doing that really help with all of this. So there's a lot of great ideas here, but we can't solve all your problems, you know? Like, we are going to deliver what we can. We have prayed, and we're believing God that He's going to reveal something to you, that you're going to have a specific takeaway from this.
For your situation.
That you can take and that you can run with. So that's what we're praying for you as we kind of dive into all this.
Yeah.
So let's get to the true source of financial peace. Now, there are some people who like to suggest that financial peace comes from paying off all your debt. And I don't necessarily disagree. Like, we are 100% debt free, including our mortgage, and there's
nothing wrong with it.
It's fantastic.
For sure. It's great.
Absolutely great. Like, and it does provide a source of peace. But I will also tell you that even being debt free does not eliminate any fear. It doesn't put you in a position where you never have to deal with any financial stress or anything anymore. It's not like, if you make that your God, being debt free, like, you're setting yourself up for trouble. It is a very great goal. I believe that it's God's best for us to be debt free. But like anything can get out of balance, and we can put too high a priority on that, and we can even turn that into an idol. And so,
and isn't it just the kindness of the Lord that He keeps us in a position where we need to rely on Him? Yeah. Because we need to rely on Him. It doesn't matter if things are looking good. We still need to rely on Him. Like, He's the one that provides the grace and the, everything. Yeah, everything we need all the time. Everything we need all the time.
So the thing is that it's not from, so debt-free or being 100% debt-free, like, isn't going to provide it for you. It's not going to provide 100% like true financial peace. It's not from having $1 million in the bank or $10 million in the bank. Like, there's no amount. I know a few people who are pretty wealthy, and I know some people who know a whole bunch of people who are really wealthy, and the common thread is that no one is excluded from the stress of money, and many people who are incredibly wealthy are more stressed out than those who aren't. So it's not about how much money you have. That doesn't solve the problem. But we all know, and I hope you know where I'm going with this, that Jesus is the true source of financial peace, that we can be at peace regardless of our financial circumstances, regardless of how much money is in the bank or how little is in the bank or whatever. I mean, how indebted we are or anything else. We can be at peace because of Jesus. And so that is a thing that we have to hang on to and that we have to remember.
Yeah. And when Paul was saying that verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, the preceding verses were, I have learned to be content in any and all circumstances. And he talked about all the horrible things that he had been going through. He wasn't talking about, oh, well, I can just do this and do that. I can do all things through Christ. It's like, I can get through anything.
Yeah.
And I can do it happy and with joy. And it might be hard, but I can do it close to the Lord, tethered to the Lord.
Well, yeah, this was in the book of Philippians. I believe that's Philippians 4 you're talking about. And that's I think one of the most joyful books in the Bible. You know what I mean? And so even in the midst of all that,
just
and I believe he was in prison, if I remember right, when he wrote that, like just the joy emanating out of him, the peace emanated out of him, out of being in a really difficult situation. Yeah. So practically, what we can do to kind of help with all this is double up on our word intake. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever done a water fast. But I haven't,
okay? Just so we're clear.
So I've done a good amount of juice fasting, where you're making juice every day, or like vegetable fast, where you're just eating vegetables, like the Daniel fast or something like that. So I've done a good amount of those. But for a water fast, I attempted to do a 7-day water fast one time, probably, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer. And I went about 3 days. On my third day, I think I was as close to death as I've ever been in my life. Like, I was so weak. I was so basically bedridden. I was just curled up on the couch, felt like I could barely move.
He could barely open his eyes, really.
Like, I was so incredibly depleted and weak. And I finally got to the point where I don't know how this went.
I think I was kind of like, please let me make you something to eat, because he was just like a shell of a human. And he was like, broccoli.
I said broccoli.
And just asking for broccoli, I'm like, I will make you broccoli right now. I'm like, do you want butter on it? No. Do you want salt? I don't even think you wanted salt. You were just like, just broccoli.
So she makes me this broccoli, and within like 2 or 3 bites of this, I can just sense this surge of energy coming back into me. I feel like Popeye, with the spinach. Like, I had so much energy. I felt like I could do laps around, I think, the apartment we were in at the time. And I could not believe how quick the energy came back to me. But my point is I went 3 days without food and was that weak. So, like, we all know that we need food to be strong physically. Right. But in Matthew 4:4, it says, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds through the mouth of God. Yeah. Like, us being in the Word is our spiritual food. It's our sustenance. It's what we need to be strong. And if we're not in the Word on a regular basis, if we're not getting our daily bread, then we are going to be weak. Like I was laying on that couch, like whimpering and moaning, and we don't want to be weak spiritually like that. We need to be strong, especially right now. Like, this is our time to shine. And the world needs us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, more than ever, the world needs us. And I think as this quarantine period continues to go on, it's getting harder. Like, at first, it's the shock of it, and it's kind of new, and you're kind of annoyed. But as it continues to go on, it's like, okay, how much longer can I do this? How much longer can I do this? And it's just that wearing you down. But when you keep your eyes focused on Jesus, one of our favorite songs, we sing it to our kids almost every night, is turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. And as we do that, it's so true. Like, all of our cares just kind of fade into the background, and we've just got our eyes fixed on Jesus. So one of my stories is after I gave birth to our third child, little boy, who's amazing. He just turned a year old. So I'm super happy to be a year from this. But last year, really at this time, I was still trying to climb my way out of this pregnancy rash that I got, which is a whole story. It's called PUPS.
You shouldn't call it a pregnancy rash. That's what it technically is, but it's actually like this terrible rash from hell. Like if you've ever had
terrible.
it's so bad, like you can't
You
sleep.
can't sleep. So yeah, you can't sleep. It's like a heat rash. So really the only thing that like settles it down a little bit is cold things. So I was taking like ice cold showers, probably
10 or 12 a day.
I would say even more. Sometimes.
And you weren't sleeping, but what, an hour or two total per
Yeah,
day?
per day.
Per day. And this is after she's had the baby, trying to recover from that.
Right.
Like
I couldn't, it bothered me to sit. So like resting was not really a good option for me because I couldn't sleep. But then also like sitting with having my legs like on my bed or a couch or something, they'd get so hot and they'd start to get really, really itchy and I'd have to get up and go. So I'm like
and this
walking
lasted
around.
this went on for weeks and weeks. And to the point where she was so sleep deprived, she was hallucinating.
Right.
And we were really, really, I was really scared.
It was not good.
But the amazing thing, this is the point of all this.
Right. So this is probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. I mean, childbirth was hard, but going through this afterwards, I talked to my my doctor about it, and she was like, "You should have probably been going a little bit crazy. Like you should have been on medication to try and like calm you down from just being so sleep deprived and just not being mentally able to handle what is going on."
Yeah.
But I wasn't. Okay, so since I couldn't sit down, I couldn't really lay down. I would get up in the middle of the night and I would walk around and I would pray. So I'm up by myself pretty much all night long. And he turns off the internet at night. And so it's a whole thing. We'll talk about that another time. But anyway, so he turns the internet off at night. So it's not like I can watch TV really. Like we don't have cable and I'm not going to stream on my phone all night long. Like it just didn't make any sense because I can't sit anyway. So I would just get up, I would turn on worship music, and I would pace around my house, and I would pray. And I have never been so close to the Lord. I have never been so strong spiritually, and it was because almost all of my efforts were going towards that. Normal people should be going towards recovering. Mine were going towards my relationship with God, and it was like I was kind of superwoman. Like I can even see it on myself.
The grace that I saw her in, it blew my mind because I was the same thing. Like, because she's a person who needs 8-9 hours of sleep a night, and if she's like short one, like it's a really big struggle for her. So to see her excel through this, because you were spending so much time with the Lord, you know,
hormonally, I felt really balanced.
Like, it was just mind blowing to me
after you've had a baby.
It was just amazing. But point is that you were spending time with Jesus. You were spending time in the Word during that time as well, right?
Yeah.
It was like this combination of just everything just sitting and hanging out in Jesus' presence. And it sustained you and it made you stronger through the most difficult time in your life.
And it's not to say that I didn't have, moments of like crying and being upset and like being angry, but I brought all that to the Lord. And that was what was so great about it is like, He helped me.
Yep.
He helped me through the whole thing.
Yep.
So stay in the Word. Turn on your worship music.
That's our encouragement to you.
Pray.
At this point is just keep in the Word. Get yourself strong spiritually. Now is the time. So we have a PDF that we created. So this has a bunch of prayers that we have been praying specifically for finances, as well as some of our favorite scriptures to stand on when things are tight, when finances are tight and you're believing God for provision and you need the bills paid or whatever the thing is. You can download this PDF. The link's right there. We'll try to put the link in the description as well. But anyway, download this thing. You can print these off, and it really helps. It really helps if you just stay in the Word, just keep reading it over and over and over again. And like I said, we have some sample prayers in here that you can use as kind of like a starting point to kind of move through.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about something a little bit practical now. I mean, some of that's practical, but
that is practical.
Anyway, let's talk more super financial here. So let's talk about debt and kind of how to handle debt in this situation. So hopefully it's obvious, but if not, we're going to say it anyway. So you want to try not to add any more debt, if at all possible, like while you're in the situation. So regardless if you have any or if you don't have any, we want to try to not add more challenge to what's already going on. Now, if you are, there's a couple things we can do here. If you are in a situation where you do have some balances on your credit cards, and if you're like maybe where we were when we first got married, we were paying really high interest rates on our cards. What you can do is you can negotiate with your credit card companies to get a lower interest rate. And this can save you a lot of money potentially. So in Linda's case, she had a couple cards that the rates were so bad that if she paid the minimum balance on her credit card, her total balance actually went up.
Can you believe that?
Because the interest
awful?
Payments were greater than the minimum payment they were requiring. So I don't even know if this is legal anymore.
That should be illegal.
Like
That's
it might
terrible.
be illegal now. I don't really know. But when we got married, that's how it was. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this is insane.
Well, and
how
I had
can they
no
do
clue.
this?
And he's like, do you know what you're paying? I didn't know. I'm sorry.
So it just blew my mind. But anyway, and I wrote an article about this, about how to negotiate with credit card companies. I'll go through some of it just really quickly. But the gist is, you grab your credit card, you look at the number on the back, and you call them up, okay? And this works even better if you've received any of those like balance transfer things in the mail, or the other credit card companies will send you an offer to transfer your balances or anything like that. And so you want to have those in hand if you have them. Otherwise, we can point you to another website where you can find some. But when you call, and you'll talk to the first person on the phone, you just want to go immediately talk to a supervisor, because I have found in doing this a lot that a lot of times the first person you talk to can't do much for you, but the supervisors who want to talk to anyway, so you might as well just bypass them and get to the supervisor. Save yourself the time, save them the time. And so anyway, once you get to supervisor, let them know, all right, I've been with you for 2 or 3 years. I've been making my payments on time all this time. Like whatever it is that you can say that's positive about your situation. So let them know that. And also let them know I have 2 or 3 other credit card companies who are trying to get my business, and they're willing to offer me whatever, 0% or 5% to move over to them, while you guys are charging me 20, 25%. And, and say, hey, what can you do? Can you get me a lower interest rate? Can you drop me down? Like, what can we do here? And they might not do anything, but I have found the vast majority of times they are going to lower your interest rate, and they're going to try to do something. Like, it's very rare when they say no. Like, and it happens sometimes that they'll just flat out say no, but they really want to keep your business. It costs them a whole lot of money to acquire a new customer, and they want to maintain your business. So they're going to do whatever they can to keep from losing you as a customer. And so in many cases, they're going to say, all right, we can drop you down to 5% or something like that. They're probably not going to drop you down to 0. But even if you go from 20% down to 5 or 20 down to 10, like you're saving a lot of money by doing that.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
they'll
a
usually
simple
offer you
thing
something,
you can do.
right?
Yeah, they almost always offer you something. And even if they do nothing, like this is a 5-minute call. There's just no downside. It's not like this super hard negotiation. It's like you literally just call them up and ask them what they can do. Let them know that you have other offers, kind of as leverage to get them to move, and then do that. Now, if they don't do anything, and if you're not happy with that, and maybe even do this anyway, you can transfer your balances. So if you have a $10,000 balance on this card that you're charged 20% on, you can transfer that to other cards. There's plenty of credit cards that have 0% intro rate, so meaning they might have 15 or 18 months of 0%. And so the goal here isn't to transfer it and then to spend more. The goal is to transfer the balance, cancel the old card, and then just get a lower interest rate so you can save money by doing that.
Right.
And we did this a ton when we first got married, and we're paying off all of our credit card debt, and it just saved a lot of money. So it's just a simple thing you can do while you're kind of trying to not add any more debt to your plate,
right?
And save a little money in the process.
Yeah, and a super practical tip on that. Sometimes it's hard. I don't like making phone calls like this, but Bob has often said to me, like, okay, well, let's pretend, like, how much are you actually going to be making by doing this work? So think about how much you make at your job per hour, and
that's a really good
are
point.
you going to be saving that amount of money? So it could be, it could be a $200 phone call that you make, or more than that, really, over the...
Yeah, some people will save thousands of dollars by doing this. It just depends on how big your balance is and what your interest rate and all that stuff. But this very easily could be $1,000 an hour or more type thing, especially because it might be a 5 or 10 minute phone
So
call.
if someone was going to pay you $1,000 an hour to make phone calls like these, you'd be like, absolutely, I will do that. So
Yeah.
just think of it that way.
That's a great way to frame it, honey. Good job. All right. So next thing we want to talk about is the importance of fighting for financial unity, with your spouse. Because to have real financial peace when you're married, this is all assuming you're married, this is just such an important part. Like you and your spouse being on the same page is just so incredibly important.
Right.
And we're not marriage counselors.
Yeah, we are not marriage counselors. If you need more help than what we can give you, that's a wonderful thing for you to go get.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like
this is our experience. We'll just share what our experience
we'll share a little bit
is.
of our experience. But like I remember when we first got married, I, probably like a lot of spouses, I'm like, oh, she does this.
We
I don't
both
like
did this
it.
to each other, really.
I wonder how I can change that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just like keep telling her, asking her, change, and that didn't work real well. Like we just found that we were bumping heads, and that just wasn't the most effective way. And I might not have been saying it in the kindest way. I don't really know, but
Right.
it just didn't work out super well.
Well,
But
and what ends up happening is I hear him saying that he doesn't like something that I do. And so I start to kind of hide it because I feel guilt about it, or I feel like it's just going to bring up a fight. So I'll start hiding things, and hiding things in your marriage is a bad idea. Like it's just a bad idea.
yeah.
So
So
continue.
yeah, point is that was my kind of failed attempt. And then once I realized, I can start praying for her. And this is something that the Lord kind of like, hey there, boy, I got an idea. Why don't you talk to me about it? And so I started praying for her. It did sound like my dad. So I started praying for her, and a couple things happened. So first off, I noticed that God started changing things in me, which I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And then the things that I did want to change in her, like he changed them with no effort on my part and no fighting. So like that, and ever since then, I'm always trying to remember that and be just aware of this is the way to make a change in my spouse. This is the way to get there, is to let the Lord change me and let him deal with her. And we don't have to fight. Like I don't have to battle it out. I don't have to make it happen. I can trust God.
And there's no resentment there because he wasn't the one that changed me and forced me to do something different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a classic example for us is I had a hardcore Starbucks addiction. And, let's not lie to ourselves. Starbucks is just not super healthy for you, especially the drink I was getting, which was a green tea frappuccino with a quarter of the ice because I wanted more of the sweetness and less of the watered down.
Which means
stuff.
that, it was basically just
Sugar.
intense. Yeah.
So, whoops, get that camera going. So I would get this drink, and he's like, Linda, this is it's not good for you. It's costing so much money. Like, can you please try and work on this habit? And I'm like, at first I'm like, yeah, okay. But I don't know if you've ever had an addiction to anything, but it is just hard to stop. Like when it is an addiction, you just cannot stop yourself without major consequences of, like if every time I do this, I punch myself in the face or something like that. I don't really know. Although you had what was that bracelet called?
Pavlok.
Or it's kind of like the idea
recommend.
of the rubber band type of thing, but it's an electric shock.
We'll save that for another time.
Anyway, so I just I couldn't do it. And so I started hiding these drinks, which was ridiculous, by the way, because he was looking at every transaction that was made.
I'm seeing the checking statements. I'm seeing everything's happening. So there's no surprise.
I'm like, he knows exactly. But I was like hiding it because I just didn't want to have the conversation. But also I was feeling like so much guilt and shame over this because I knew he didn't want me to do it. And I was like, I couldn't stop.
It wasn't just me. It was you wanted to break it.
I wanted to break the habit, but I just didn't know how. So anyway, what ended up happening is I kind of just went, you know what? I gave it to God, and I was like, I can't stop this. If you want me to stop drinking Starbucks, Lord, you're going to have to make me stop drinking Starbucks, which just felt like such a ridiculous prayer because it's like, whatever. And I finally told him, I was like, you know what? I can't stop. Like, I just really enjoy this and I don't know how to stop it. So you can pray for me and I am open to change, but I just, I don't know how to stop this in my own strength.
Yeah. And you came in a way where it was, you were asking for help.
Yeah.
Like that's how I remember you coming to me on this.
Okay, tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't remember you being defensive. I just remember you saying like, I'm just struggling with this. I need help. And then I came alongside you because you're saying you need help. And so I'm there. I'm like, okay, well, great. Let's work on this together. Now we can go arm in arm and fight this thing together rather than you hiding it, pretending like it's not there, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like bringing it out into the light.
Right.
And, you know, us looking at it together and fighting it together. Like, we got through it.
Yeah, we got through it.
It's broken. Yeah.
Honestly, one day I felt like stop drinking Starbucks. It was like I felt it on the inside of me and I was like, okay, I think I'm done drinking Starbucks. And I honestly have not. I mean, I've had a couple here and there,
in years.
But I really don't drink it. Yeah, it's been years. I think it was like when we moved here actually. So it's been like almost 5 years.
Crazy.
Which is crazy.
So another thing along these lines that we found really helpful in terms of getting in unity, financial and otherwise, is actually praying together as a team. You know, for a lot of years in our marriage, like we would both pray kind of individually, but not as much together. But once we started praying together, you know, and this is something we started a little over, whatever, is that a year ago or so? Almost 2 years ago. We began waking up in the morning and actually praying together and starting our day
and this
praying.
was more of a regular habit. We had prayed together a lot before, but this was like
this is first time
making it a regular habit.
And it brings so much unity to our marriage as a whole, you know. And so the financial part is just one part of all the different, you know, aspects of a marriage, but it's just been so good. And so, and you may not have a spouse who's in a position who'd be willing to do that with you, or you might not be willing to do that with your spouse, and that's fine. But again, pray that you can get to that point, you know? And so, I mean, and I think the bottom line with all this stuff is that it all comes back to our dependence on God and needing Him and asking Him for help with whatever this stuff is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
All right, let's move on to the next one, shall we? So this is another practical kind of money side thing. So I have a friend who's in town who kind of in the coronavirus thing is just runs a coffee shop and
it's amazing,
struggling like crazy, like so many businesses in this coronavirus thing have. And like your dad,
my dad is a musician who does music like basically at nursing homes. And then he is a substitute teacher. And so his two streams of income just like dried up overnight. So my point is that there's a lot, I mean, these are two examples that hit home to us, but there are so many people in a situation like this who have lost 50% of their income or 100% of their income. We have some other friends who lost 100% of their income overnight. Like both of them just completely, So it's like, and I know that we're talking to some of you right now who are in that situation. So the thing is, and there's, and we've been talking a lot about this lately, a lot of the kind of solutions that the government's rolling out to kind of help with some of the stuff. So you can check our Instagram page for some of that stuff. But the thing is that the answer isn't to just quit. Like the time is to keep fighting and not in our own strength and making it happen, but to fight in the Lord, to be fighting in prayer and to be, just continuing to not giving up with all this. So if work is drying up, I don't think the answer is to sit on the couch all day and do nothing. Like there are a lot of side things that you can still be doing, even in this world that we're living in right now. A lot of side opportunities, side gigs. And so picking something up like that in the meantime, just to bring in some extra cash is a really good thing to consider doing. Now, we have tons of videos, blog posts where we talk about different side jobs and side hustles and things like that. And so I won't go into all that now, but there is a really big one that I do want to just to mention one specific thing. So probably when this thing just kind of first came out, Amazon said that they were going to hire 100,000 part-time workers, part-time pay starting at $17 an hour.
So 100,000 of them. Now they've filled already a whole bunch of those positions, but I just saw an article the other day that they're adding another 75,000 that they're hiring.
That?
So through this whole thing, they're hiring 175,000 part-time workers. So some of these are shoppers who will go into Whole Foods or whatever shop for groceries and stuff like that. Some of them are delivery drivers who might deliver those things or deliver packages. I think some of them use your own car. Some of them are warehouse workers if you have a warehouse nearby you. So, and I think there's a whole bunch of other opportunities in there as well, but those are some of the big ones. But the point is that this is just one thing that is pretty feasible for most people. I don't think there's any or much experience required for most of these positions. And
how much aren't they paying? Like
$17 an hour is the starting point. I mean, that's fantastic.
It is.
Just for a simple, no experience required job. So if your work has disappeared, like something to consider.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So next point to have financial peace in the chaos is really counterintuitive.
Yep.
But
that's the way of the kingdom, right?
More instead of hoarding. And this just actually works. Like this is something that we've experienced a lot of. The Lord has just led us to do this time and time again. The first example I think of is when we were paying off all of our debt when we were younger, had just gotten married.
Yeah.
And during that point, while we were paying off our debt, we felt like the Lord was telling us to double up our giving. And I had worked out this plan. I had this plan like down to the month. It's going to take us 3 years and 6 months by paying this much every month. And, I had it all calculated out and figured out exactly where I'm going to pay it off. And then we get this, and God's saying, I want you to double up your giving and give twice as much. And I'm like, oh man, you're messing up my plan, God. You're messing up my plan. I got this plan and you're messing it up. And no surprise here, like God knew what he was talking about. And as we did that, we came in agreement. We both are like,
this is what we need to do.
Let's just do it. Let's go for it. Yeah. And so as we did, like we saw God come through so fast on that. So not only did the plan not take longer, like when I calculated it out, it should have taken an extra year or two, but not only did it not do that, it actually sped up by about a year and a half.
Isn't that amazing?
Like it went so much faster, even though we were giving more. And that doesn't make any logical sense, but that's the way God's kingdom works. And so I'm really glad that we did that in that situation.
Yeah. And the same thing happened. We were believing God to pay off our house. So we were praying and we were saying, we want to pay this off
this
early.
This was a few years later. Yeah.
Yeah. We want to pay this off early. We don't want to, we don't want to be in debt in our house. Like this was a goal we didn't even know that we could reach for until we kind of paid off some of our other debt first. So we're like, let's try and pay it off. And as soon as we start praying that, the Lord laid it on.
Yeah, I was praying in a field, and I was wanting to pay that off, but there were some other like financial struggles as well. And I was out praying in my prayer field. I used to pray in all the time, and I remember the Lord dropping this on my heart. If you really want to see me move on your finances, I want you to give your age as a percentage of your income. And so we were 31 at the time, and I'm just thinking to myself like, 31%, like. Do we even have that much? Like, how can we even do this? Like, I didn't know. And I went back and talked to her. Like, maybe she'll think I'm crazy. And
I was like, no, let's do it. Well, because we had seen the faithfulness of God when he had asked us to do something before and we obeyed.
Yeah.
And it just was the wind at our backs, just pushing us forward so much faster. And so, honestly, it was exciting because I'm like, if he's asking us to do this, there's a reason. He's not going to leave us high and dry. Yeah. And let's do it and see what happens. And what happened?
And I was still nervous. I mean, I don't know if you felt any nerves
I was not nervous. I was excited.
I was nervous. Like, and there was a part of me that was excited too, but I was nervous just about, that's just a lot of money. And, and do we have to? Like, is there any other way, God? Like, can we, whatever. But we did it, and we saw, like, again, this makes no sense, but within that year, we had paid off our house. Like, it just made no sense at all.
Can you believe that?
And so, we've just seen this time and time again. Like,
Yeah, we're sold. We're like, what do you want us to do, Lord?
Yeah,
tell us how much to give and we'll do it.
We could go on and on with stories like
Yeah.
this, and this is in Acts 11:27. You can read this passage if you want, but there was a famine going on, and the disciples' response during the famine was to be generous and to send relief. And so, like, we have an example there, and the reality is, I just think that giving or planting seeds, like the name of our website, our Instagram, everything is Seed Time.
Yep.
And it comes from Genesis 8:22, where it says that there will always be seed time and harvest. And it's just the way that God does things. He starts things with seeds. And so giving or planting seeds is the way out of the struggle. So even though it feels like the best thing for me to do is to hoard it and keep it all safe, that's not the way to do things in God's kingdom. Is to let it go and to trust that God is going to take care of you and meet all your needs.
Because he will.
Yeah, and so Philippians 4:19, one of our favorite verses, my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. So this verse, in the context of Philippians 4, he's talking to givers, And so that promise that we have that God's going to meet all of our needs, that comes from a passage where he's communicating to givers. So it's just an interesting thing to think about. And let's talk about this too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's interesting too, like we have other needs besides financial ones.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So he says he's going to take care of all of our needs. All of them, all means all.
Means all.
That's
what the word
like
says.
There's no, all of them except for da-da-da-da. It means all of them, which I think is just exciting. So anyway.
So
Go ahead.
I'll leave you with this passage from Proverbs 11. There's one who generously scatters abroad and yet increases all the more. And there's one who withholds what is justly due but results only in want and poverty. The generous man is a source of blessing and shall be prosperous and enriched. And he who waters himself will be watered, reaping the generosity he has sown. The people curse him who holds back grain when the public needs it, but a blessing from God and man is upon the head of him who sells it.
Amen.
I just think that's super timely for our situation right now. All right. So next point here, in order to have financial peace, is to, we are budgeting nerds. Never intended to be, but this is just kind of
never ever dreamed
the path
I would be.
that we have kind of found
Budgeting
ourselves
with
down.
nerd.
We've created a course about budgeting. We're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
But down in the corner here, you can see this is a text message we got from one of our students, who's actually one of her friends.
One of my friends.
Who basically started getting her budget in order
In
few
January,
months before the whole coronavirus thing happened. And she said, glad we got this budget on lockdown in January. Otherwise, I would be way more stressed right now financially with all the work that's canceling, because they had a lot of
her husband
income
is
dry up as well.
Musician. And most of his income just dried up because they can't go on tour anymore. So
So the bottom line is that now is a better time than ever to start a budget. Or actually it would have been better to do it before, but even still, now is the best time. It's better than tomorrow. Get on it as soon as you possibly can. And the thing is that we also hear from some people too who, let me talk about this. So one of my favorite things about budgeting, and I think most people don't understand, is that you actually save money just by doing it. And I don't think people get this, but the average new budgeter I've read saves up to $600 by their second month of doing it. And so if you've never budgeted before,
amazing.
You're going to save a lot of money just by doing
paying
it.
attention.
One of our business operation manager who works for us, Lauren, she saved $800 the first month she started budgeting. And she's not a high roller. It's not. This was just her paying attention, just her just starting the process, and that was her result in the first time. And we've had
she wasn't even trying, right?
Yeah, wasn't even trying to reduce her expenses. It just happened because she was paying attention. That's what's so crazy about this. And we've had story after story from our students who are just getting fantastic results like this, and it's just really, really cool, because that's what happened for us, and it's so fun seeing that happen over and over again for other people. So, one of the things we hear a lot is that I don't have enough money to budget, and this is something that I do hear a lot, and I understand that, and I understand how it's harder when there's no money to budget. But the reality is you have to try to do something. It's kind of like...
Well, you're spending your money anyway, right? So this is just a way of tracking it, making sure that it goes where you want it to go instead of it just flying out and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and you can think of it like sitting in a lake in a canoe, and you got 5, 6 holes all over this canoe, and water's just coming up. So you can either sit there and do nothing and just watch the thing sink while you're sitting in it, or you can try to plug as many as you can. And even if you can't get them all, maybe if you can plug 4 or 3 of them, maybe you can, grab the thing and row back to shore before you sink,
Right.
And so just think about having a budget as the same way. Like if you do nothing, like you're just sinking faster. You're going backwards faster. But if you are on it, paying attention to where things are going, you are actually, even if you're not moving forward as fast as you would like, even if there's still some holes, like you're still helping the situation. You're still moving forward in that regard. So highly recommend
a budget.
some sort of budgeting, whatever you want to use. We have a course. We'd love to have you in it, but however you want to do budgeting and make it work, find something that works for you. All right. So with that, if you have any questions, throw them over in that chat box and we will talk. And if I know there's some new people here, so if you haven't, if you're not following us anywhere, you can follow us on Instagram at SeedTime or on YouTube at SeedTime or our website, seedtime.com.
Yeah.
But with that, let's pull up the question thing and answer some questions.
Hi,
All
Rob.
right.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Don. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Don.
We are good.
We
Don?
are okay. Yes. Thank you for asking. We're working through it.
All right. Hello, Eli. Helen Marie. Am I saying that right?
Helen Mary.
Helen Mary. I'm bad with names, apparently.
I know.
All right. The Eli. I got that one right. Book of Eli is one of my favorite movies. I thought that was it's a very kind of tough and rough movie, but man, I thought it was a really cool movie.
What microphone are you using?
This is, Don, this is the Shure SM7B. Is a great microphone. Fun fact that everybody says when they have this mic is that Michael Jackson's Thriller album, all of the vocals were recorded in this microphone, which is kind of interesting because I've done a little bit of studio work, and it's pretty common in a studio to have like $5,000, $10,000 vocal mics, and this thing is like $400 or something. So it's really surprising to me that they did all the vocals on that, but that's what they say. And Michael Jackson is like the highest level producer. Like everything was the best of the best with him. So anyway, kind of surprising. All right. So Don, for what it's worth, you don't need this microphone. There's a whole bunch of other things we can do. And to be honest, we're not even using it the best way because there's 2 of us trying to use this. We should have 2 of them a little bit closer to our mouth, but we're working with what we got for right now. There's a whole bunch of other options, a whole lot cheaper that you could do. Shoot me an email and we can talk a little bit if you want. All right. Hi, Sheila. Peace comes through Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
It looks like Porcupine knew the answer to the thing. All right. Tiffany says, love what you're saying. Thank you, Tiffany. Victor, Bob, I watch your podcast on economic stimulus. You said you don't know what the 1040 NR is. Thank you. This is for a non-resident who earns incomes. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know, Victor. So that's a 1040 NR for anybody who does not know. I do not know what that is. Now we know. Porcupine, I hate talking to credit card companies. They play so many games. It must be hard to work in their call centers because you have to stick to script. So I honestly have found, and I'm sure it depends on the company and the person you're talking to, but I've found them to be pretty simple to work with. Now, collections agencies or anything like that, like if you get to the point where they pass off collections, that's where it's
really bad.
Those are interesting people who work at collections agencies, but it must be a terrible job. But most of the credit card companies that we have, and most of our cards are Chase cards, and it might also depend on the card you have. I don't really know, but in my experience, I have felt like we've had really pretty good service at the cards we've had, for what it's worth. All right. Love that insight on allowing the Lord to bring changes.
Yes.
Amen. Interested in the Pavlok bracelet. Okay, we'll talk about this since we got it up. So I don't know.
Do you have it still?
I got it somewhere. I don't remember where. So anyway, I have had a nail biting habit since I was like 5 years old. I'm not biting them now. Well, I did bite them.
You were biting them this.
Okay. Anyway. So I've had a nail biting habit for a long, long time, and I've tried every single thing I could possibly try to stop. I tried this Pavlok thing. For anybody who's curious, it's a bracelet they put on a thing.
Wait, let's tell him the funniest thing you did.
What's the funniest thing?
Is he got like his nails done like at a nail salon. They put fake nails on.
Oh yeah, I tried
And he was
everything.
like, file them down as short as you can, and they were so long.
I would dip them in like
So long and curly looking. And he was like, I have got to trim these down. Didn't work.
So yeah, I put fake nails on. I tried dipping them in rubbing alcohol.
It was awesome.
I bought some others. Like I hate and I'm allergic to onions, and I bought some sort of like onion juice to put on there. I'm like, I hate onions this bad. This will work. That didn't work. Nothing worked. Anyway, long story short, I bought this Pavlok thing, which is a bracelet that you wear, and it's got a little thing. You press the button, and it shocks you.
It's got a lightning bolt on it.
It's got a lightning bolt, and it shocks you.
Kind of like a watch looking
Okay.
thing or something.
So what it does, and it's not, a lot of people are, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but a lot of people are confused and think that it's the shocking the thing that makes you stop, but it's actually not. It's like a Pavlov's dog response where you begin to anticipate the shock, and therefore your body just reduces the craving. It's really crazy, it's really weird, but it absolutely worked for me. I stopped biting my nails for 4 or 6 months. I used this bracelet for 5 days, and I stopped biting my nails for 4 or 6 months. And then I backslid and went back and started biting them again. And then I used the bracelet again for another 5 days, and then went another 4 or 6 months and stopped biting them. So it has worked for me successfully. But the thing is every time I break the habit, I don't maintain it. And that's another thing that I need to work on. But point is that this thing actually got me to stop biting my nails. And you can do it for a whole bunch of other things, but that's all I'm going to say about it. It's too much of a sales pitch for this thing, and I'm not getting paid for it. So maybe I can work something out there. All right. What do you say about day trading? My husband is talking to somebody who's coaching him in this, and I'm very concerned. Yeah, I'm not real excited about that. I pretty much hate day trading.
Tell them how you really feel.
Yeah. There are some people in the world who will make a little bit of money doing that, and there are a whole bunch of people who are going to lose a whole lot of money doing it.
Do you feel like it is a little bit more like gambling?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, and it's like gambling in that most people who walk in a casino are going to lose a lot of money. But there are some people who know what they're doing and can go, I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
There's some people who know what they're doing, and they're going to go to the blackjack table, and they're going to sit there for 8 hours, and they're going to come out ahead. Like, there are professional gamblers who can go into a casino and who can actually make money. But that's really rare. And I would say that this kind of falls in the same category, where a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. There's just too many variables that are out of your control. I just don't like it. My approach is a much slower, longer-term investor approach. Buy a stock, spend years, decades, whatever, and really make some money. The day trading thing, like, yes, you can make some money faster, but I just don't like it. Yeah, to me, it just feels like a get-rich-quick scheme in which, search the book of Proverbs about that, and you'll see what that has to say about it. Heather, and how here you are today encouraging all of us. Well, thank you. Let's see. Sure. Hello, Rob, Don. Okay, tell us about shock bracelet. All right, I already told you guys. All right, got to throw some praise out. I mentioned on one of your live videos earlier in the week, I lost my job 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, I got a job offer 1.5 times more than I was making. Hallelujah, that's awesome.
Awesome, Heather.
So good, so good. So happy for you.
That's amazing.
All right, this isn't really a financial question, but what do you think has helped you most in your spiritual life to be able to hear clearly from God? That's a great question, Tiffany. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You go first. I gotta think.
All right, I think it's like, I personally feel like it's like developing a muscle, where the more you use it, the more comfortable you get with it. And so, like, right now, I haven't been working out in a while, and if I went to the gym and started doing some bench presses or something, like, I'm going to come home and tomorrow I'm going to be super, super sore. And I don't know if this is a perfect analogy, but
I was going to say, where's this going?
But anyway, my point is that I think it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And And it's like, this is not, and I think this is
Well-
something we work at for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Like with varying degrees of being able to hear God's voice and knowing when you hear this little thing, it's like, I think that's God. Like
Yeah.
just that gentle little whisper. I forgot where it's described as that still small voice. Just that little faint thing of, I think this is God telling me this. And there's sometimes where it's like, we have like kind of a bold warning thing
Yeah.
from God where it just feels like
That's
in your
rare.
spirit, it's like, there's something,
Something
but
agitating.
But yeah, well, go ahead. You want
Okay.
to say something?
So yeah, the first thing I was going to say is like that agitation. Like, have you ever done something where you're like, I'm going to go do this, and then you just, it's like gears grinding on the inside of you, and you're like, what the heck is this? Like, it almost feels like indigestion or something. Like, you're like, what is this? But I feel like that is like a warning. Like, don't do that thing that you're trying to do. The other thing, which I think is a better analogy for your muscle building thing, is, have you ever, like done gardening or yard work or, a deep clean in your house, or picked up a baby and held him for a long time, and you feel like, whoa, there are muscles here that I didn't know were there, and they're sore today. Like, I
good.
can feel them.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
when you feel that muscle, like, you're all of a sudden aware that there's something there that you didn't know was there before.
Yeah.
And you treat it differently. So that has really helped me, is like, I feel like the Lord will kind of like show me something and I will keep it to myself. And then I will kind of see what I was actually thinking wasn't just me coming up with a good idea. It was actually something that the Lord was trying to show me.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps. And the more you like pay attention to that, the stronger it'll get. The more you're listening, the more you're going to hear.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And like, we can be in a crowd of people and Bob can yell my name and I'll know it. And the more you are tuned to what the Lord's voice sounds like, the better you're going to hear it, even when there's more junk going on.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of noise.
Chaos.
Chaos, for sure.
Perfect. All right, Lord says, it never hurts to ask due to circumstances just today. That's the DMV. The fee can be reduced back to the original amount. Versus late payment amount. What'd they say?
Yeah, I'm curious to know what they said.
Yeah. All right. Helen Mary says, thanks so much. That confirms what I felt. And I'm assuming this is about the day trading thing. Yeah. So, and back to our point, please don't like run back and say, hey, Bob says this. Like pray.
Yeah, pray.
And pray. And if there's a conversation you're supposed to have, great. But you pray for him and let God deal with his heart. And yeah,
and I don't know what your situation is, but if I felt like that, I would kind of go in and say, hey, I just don't feel like super great about it. Can we talk about it a little bit more?
Yeah. Yep.
And then drop it.
All right, just read that scripture, 1 Kings 19, 11 to 13, for the still small voice.
Yeah.
For anybody who's interested.
Amen. That is such a good one.
Santiago, these devices. That's hilarious.
I don't get that one.
I think
Tell
it
us.
was a autocorrect or something, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think we're going to
All
call
right.
it a night. Thank you guys all for coming and hanging out with us. We're going to be back tomorrow, and let's see what we're going to talk about tomorrow. You want to?
Yeah. Sunday we talk about rest every week.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which we feel like this is something that the Lord is putting on our hearts for this quarantine time, is just teaching us all about rest.
Oh, we have a
And
couple
it is
ideas for
good.
tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out what to talk about.
Oh, so we don't know yet.
No, I got 3 ideas of things I want to talk about.
I know,
Yeah,
should we let him vote?
I don't know.
We don't trust you that much, apparently.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we will be back tomorrow
We're gonna be
night,
back tomorrow.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's a late night tonight. It's almost 9 o'clock.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Good
all
evening.
Right. Adios. All right. Go find this button to turn it off.
I
now.
know.
It's hiding from us.
Sorry, we're still
There
here.
it is.
Bye.
Have a good night, guys.